My name is Barbara Hoel, and I live in Heartland, Wisconsin, which is halfway between Milwaukee and Madison. This is called The Caves. It is the second of a three-part build I have in my mind. Last year I did The Ruins, which was a above-terrain build. This is a subterranean build. Last year it was primarily white. It had really bright hues. This is, to me, really dark hues. I want it to feel like it's almost like a hellish kind of feel. I also want people to think that if they were to walk into this toxic land and this beautiful flowers, they would die. So some of the kids, when they see this, they really get it. They're like, oh, it's gross and creepy. Most of the adults think, oh, it's beautiful. It's funny the kids get it. I love that about them. Next year's build is going to be the jungle. And then I don't know, that's my universe for this, and I don't know if it'll grow beyond that. These pieces over here are a lot of just concept botanicals that I did for this and next year's piece. The one in the corner next, the jungle, I had like a 3-tone palette for the two pieces last year and this year. I think with the jungle I want to go more than that, but I don't want it to look chaotic. Right. And so that's a controlled version of color that I think might be where I go. I don't know for sure. It evolves when I do it. There's a whole, this idea started for this subterranean that I would use red and black tails as a forest just going up. I completely edited it out because it just took away, it was too distracting. So I might start with an idea and by the time I finish it's completely edited out. The one thing I didn't think I would do is have a lot of the medium blue in because it's super bright, but it's become a really important sub-element underneath my purples to draw the eye. And I'm really I did the water, I used the purple flames. Okay. I've never done a piece where I didn't have pieces that were actually attached. But this flame is so beautiful laying on its side. If you were to have it standing up, you couldn't see it. And right now it's been disturbed because the master builder put a piece in and buried it, and I had to dig it out. But I had one of the attendees' children help me, and we just started up here. There's a slight slope and there's a curve in, and we started putting these in, and it flowed like water going down. It did exactly what I wanted it to do. So that was pretty cool. Last year's piece, I'd never done anything so big, so I didn't really know how to do sections. This one I built to fit in boxes my husband got that are really substantial boxes. They had a very specific height. So this piece comes off completely. This breaks into 3 pieces. This is actually 8 pieces. There's a section here, and it's almost like a T-square that goes in between. So it's just like this piece was designed to be moved from the get-go. And I don't know if you guys know, but Adam Reed Tucker is taking my work to go into his museum. And he said, well, do you want me to take this now? I'm like, yeah, because I'm the kind of person where nothing is ever done. I have a Bachelor of Science in Fine Arts, and it's really hard to end a painting. If you ever talked, it's like, when do you know your painting's done? When have you overworked it? Like, you got to take this. Because one thing that everybody who works with Lego knows, when you go back to display it, it will never go back the way it was before. So I know I'm already going to change it when I build this for him again. So to take it home and change it is just crazy because I have so many ideas to go forward. I just have to let it go. So there's a part of me that's like, okay, just do this, let it go, because I built it to be moved. It's good. Go with it.
Yeah. Perfect. Well, I think it turned out great. If you can talk about some of the different parts you used here, because there's some really interesting parts, particularly for like the flowers and throughout it.
Yeah. My goal for all the work that I've been working on is to use as few pieces that Lego created to be botanicals. So when I first started building, I was mostly using radar dishes, wheels, propellers, because that's what I had. And then some members of my lug, joining the lug is like the best thing ever because they tell you so much, turned me on to the Hero Factory pods. I never even knew about that line because I never cared about the large figures. And I went out and bought all of them that I could find. And from that point on, I just really started looking at the large figure pieces and animal parts. And I now will spend hours on Bricklink trolling through the different parts, seeing what colors are available in them. So propellers, you can get these in gray and orange and all kinds of colors. I'm looking for the most vibrant colors that they're made in, and using them. People are like, oh, that's a propeller? It's like, yeah, and it wasn't used this way previously, and it made sense in the ship or whatever it was on. But when you bring them together in bulk, I can turn them into a flower. So I have old Botanical and new Bionicle. So this is a fairly new Bionicle part. Over there on that, what I call yesterday's flowers, I'm using, I think they're called the Crata, the little slug things.
Oh, yeah.
And what's interesting about that is they have, if anybody knows about it, there's like 6 stages to Crata, and the only thing that tells them apart is the bumps on the face. But some of the stages are harder to find than others. So I can like get stage 3 for 50 cents, but if I were to buy a stage 6, it'd be $5. I don't care. I'm just going for color and texture. So it's been kind of interesting. And those I didn't even know what they were because mostly they're not pictured. People don't take pictures of them. So it was a description. But once I found out what they were, I'll buy those. So if any Crata you send to me, any color, I'll use it. So, but I'm using a lot of like the old turquoise. I love the old turquoise. The orange, the medium orange, is a color that's used now, but in the radar dish and stuff, it's hard to find because it was used a lot in Belleville, which is a set that's gone. So finding those colors and bringing them back in front of people's minds, I love this. Half the time I'm just saying, do you know what set I got these pieces from? And I don't always know what they're used for, so kids are telling me what they're used for. Kids always know at least one thing the parents don't know about the parts that are in there. And a lot of them know stuff I don't know about the parts because I'm buying them out of context. So
right. Exactly. Another really impressive part of the build is the black pieces here. So you can talk about kind of the pieces you use for that and kind of how you put those together to create this effect?
Mm-hmm. Sure. I use a lot of plates. Okay. So the underneath all my roofing tile, I'm using the slopes, the round slopes and the square slopes. I use almost no corner slopes. I try and stagger my bricks to get to go around the corner as opposed to using actual corner. I find that gives me a circular effect better. Once you put those corner pieces in, you get a square. You might think you're going down a slope. So that's how do I make it feel circular with a square piece? So I mean, if you look at any of my work, you're going to see a pattern. Even on the big squares, you're going to see there's like a staggered pattern to try and get a curve line in there. But I would say I probably had 5,000 plates of various sizes so that I could stack them differently. The 1x1 plates, the 1x3 plates, and the 1x2 plates. I never have enough of those. I think 1,000 enough, and it's not. Part of the problem is when I have 1,000, I'll use 1,000. When I only have 100, I spare them. But you get such great effects by minimal steps. So everything I do, even though it's super large scale, I consider myself doing micro steps. In order to get any of that effect, it's really, really small changes, a little bit at a time. I almost think of it like claymation. Yeah. It's claymation that doesn't move with the small pieces. I hear people say, oh, I have too many 1x1 tiles. And I'm like, really? How could that be? I don't have enough of anything. So that's like the first size I run out of everything. And then the second thing I run out of everything is the 1x1 actual bricks. So you can't build anything without those. 1x3s are super important. I'd rather have a 1x3 than a 1x4. And 1x2s. 1x1, 1x2s, and 1x3s are super important. And then a few really long ones for structure. So I have a lot of structures in here, and I really wanted to look like it's defying gravity. And truly, this piece up here, which totally comes off, is heavier than the pieces below it. But by being structurally sound, I can have really skinny legs that look like they can't hold it and be right there and give it curve. And I use a lot of snot, which if you don't know what that is, that's studs not on top. So I just basically build with one of those pieces that has the stud off the side, and then I'm going to take some more of the roofing tiles and build something that I can then stick on the side so that I can make a really boring square pole look really curvy and organic. And so there's a lot of that everywhere on this build. Also, I could turn this. So I knew people couldn't walk around this, so I asked my husband to build me a table that turns, and he did.
Wow, that's really great.
Level, and he's not a carpenter, so I'm just a shout out for my husband here. But this is a really easy example of snot and also how I use my plants. So I wanted my plants to look creepy, so these tails really help a lot with that creepiness. Here's an example of me running out of parts. I didn't have enough tails to get all the length I wanted, so then I went black flames that I had from the Elves Black Witch set, which I bought 3 of because I had a lot of black pieces that I needed. And so I ended up using that at the top to end this piece, even though a lot of them are the tail ends. But this is snot, so if you didn't know a snot piece, so this would look like my terrain, but I'm doing this. And then right here are the studs on the side. And then you just stick it on. And you got yourself snot. So super easy. I'm going to show you another piece. This completely lifts off. I wanted to have this I wanted something not to be at a square angle because I have this circle, but then everything's coming in at a square. And I needed to break that up because all these pieces, if this was a square piece too, you would see a square, you wouldn't see a circle. So I needed something that would break that. So this actually completely lifts off. Oops, that's a piece on the other side. It lifts off and it's there so that this could go on an angle. So you can actually see that this is the way the studs actually go. And then this build is putting it at this direction. So I have one piece that's actually completely opposite of everything else. And that allows that to stop feeling like a square everywhere. So that's just I'm tricking the eye with this. Totally tricking the eye by doing that. And then right here, this was just playing around. This is slopes, or the arches. And so that just sticks in right there. I wanted something that went really far out. It just plugs in the side. All of this whole section, everything on here is a slot in some way. I have a top piece that goes on, another side piece here. It's just all together. And another reason I did this is because this is a little bit higher than the sides of those boxes. I built with that measuring tape to make sure I didn't go over the sides of my boxes. And so I made this really fun little section. And it's structurally sound. I can have stuff building on top of it. This falls off. It doesn't break. I traveled with this. All these pieces stayed together. It was if you ever do a show, your stuff is going to fall apart when you put it back together. When I was doing this, putting this together, I knocked those legs, and they look bigger than they are because the snot there bulks them up. They look muscular because of that. But I knocked one of the legs and completely knocked that out. This piece which comes off and that piece which comes off, these big pieces came down, broke nothing. The only thing that broke was those skinny legs. But I found out that there was a structural problem in the support on that one side. And I consider it a fortunate accident because I was able to fix it before the show. Because turning this table eventually, that would have knocked it over. And to repair it in the middle of the show would be tacky.
Exactly. Well, that's really impressive. I love how much thought you put into this build, and I think it's very unique here, really cool. And I also love the lighting you did as well.
Thank you.
Comes together very nicely. Thanks for talking to me about it.
Thanks for being interested. I appreciate it.
Thank you.